This is Guruprasad. I am the enterprise architect for the REMBU at EVRY. Today, I thought I will come and discuss with all of you a very important and a very ignored problem in the retail and the omnichannel industry. That is the problem of retail returns. It's very drawn, it's very difficult, and it's ridden with delays. And that's what we want to try and discuss today. I also had a chance to pen my thoughts and publish it as an article on SupplyChainBrain. I will be posting a link to that article, and I request all of you to take a look at that article and make benefits out of that. So why is this a very big problem? Let us see what the National Retail Federation is saying. In last 2022, right, when we looked at the overall sales for the year, we saw that it was around $4.95 trillion in retail sales. And out of that, about 16.5% were returns. And just holidays alone, during the holidays from Thanksgiving all the way to New Year's, the amount of returns was a staggering 17.9% as per NFR that they have published, right? So it's a very big problem. It is as big as $816 billion in financial terms. So I'm taking an example of a customer raising a return order and returning it to the warehouse. What are the things that happens? What are the things that's happening at the courier partner side? What happens at the consolidation location? What happens at the retail warehouse? How and when is the bank involved, right? And how is the inventory that is returned that passes the quality control? How is that checked back into the pool of available inventory? All of these are the branches of the returns process. And there isn't a single process that can actually take the responsibility of this particular transaction and envelop its boundaries within it, right? Because there are too many parties involved and too many applications and consoles and interfaces, manual/digital, that come to play in order to facilitate as a single returns process. So here the customer is raising the return order. Courier partner is coming and he's picking up the courier and he's bringing it to his consolidated location. Then after a few orders are consolidated, he is going to then drive a truck to the retailer's con block. Retailer's con block has different locations, one for receiving the inventory, one for receiving the return orders, etc. So somebody is actually going and actually processing those and segregating the inventory from the return orders. Somebody is also actually waiting for a manifest from the courier partner to be received in order for them to actually have a validation of how many orders were actually delivered, how many orders were actually raised in the manifest, and to have a tally between the manifest and the airway bill numbers. So once all of that happens, that is when the actual returns process starts. Somebody opens the returns package, scans the item, matches it with the order, and then looks at the quality of the item, passes it under the UV booth to make sure that it's not been worn, along with the label and tags and price tags, etc. And then they are going to say this is a processed order, and that is when the refund gets initiated to the bank. And the bank will then take its own time to refund the customer. And finally, it is all kept in returned goods area. Somebody from the warehouse side will come and pick this item and receive it in the warehouse. And that is when the item actually becomes available for others to buy. But what are the problems here? There are plenty of problems. There are a lot of exceptions that can happen. The time taken by the courier partner, the time taken at the the returns processing personnel at the warehouse, the time taken by the bank also causes a lot of challenges and problems and causes delays. One such, and let me also give you an example of exceptions. There are a lot of exceptions that happen here. The customer could have raised a wrong return order and sent some other item. The item could have been damaged. The item could be worn. So all of these things, and it could even be a wrong item for the wrong for a particular order. It could be an item from a different retailer thing, and the customer thought, oh, it is from this retailer, I'm going to raise a return order. So they can't do anything with that item, right? They have to send it back to the customer. So every exception has its own life cycle, has its own steps that ought to be followed. But one thing that is very important and common to all of this is somebody from the warehouse will contact the call center. Call center will then solicit a decision from the customer, and that is then propagated back to the warehouse. This again takes a lot of time. And here is what I have overlaid. I've overlaid a supposition of the timelines in the working day calendar, and I'm trying to tell all of you how long it actually takes. It's already day 8 when somebody is actually opening the package. It is day 22 when the inventory becomes available. It is day 11 when the bank sends the refunds. When you send a refund request to the bank, and the bank takes about 2 to 4 weeks to process the returns. So on the 11th day, if you're connecting with the bank, that means you're already overshooting your promise. And most of the countries in the United States, Germany, UK, in the West, there are e-commerce laws that retailers have to adhere to in order to make sure that they, if you process, you are supposed to process the refund by 4 weeks, which means it should already be deposited into the customer's account by 4 weeks. If you violate that, customer can actually sue you, and for millions of dollars. So there is a lot at stake and a lot of parties involved. So that is the real challenge here. And I'm overlaying this process with the amount of time each step takes, and again overlaying it with the problem at each of these steps. It is a problem with each of these steps because we are not leveraging our extended family like your courier partner. We are not preempting the delays. We are not automating a lot of these processes. We're not empowering the warehouse personnel who is actually processing the returns. By virtue of all of these things, this continues to be a problem, and $816 billion at that, right? So there's a lot we can do and we must do, right? So this is the example of the retail process. And now let me give you a perspective of what are the parties involved and what are the gaps, underlying gaps when we talk about this particular returns, right? So if you see here, you will see that there are various different applications involved, right? There's a 3PL application sending the manifest. There's emails involved. Somebody has to download that and match it with the airway bill number. Call center console, order management system to get you the order information. E-commerce to actually communicate the status back to the customer. And sometimes it's the e-commerce platform that actually triggers the refund process with the bank, right? And the customer could be doing all of this on a mobile app. The inventory master have to be adjusted. Warehouse management should receive a notification that there is enough and more inventory available in terms of the processed returned goods that they have to carry, they have to pick and receive the inventory, right? And then the handhelds that the warehouse personnel is using to scan the airway bill number, scan the item barcode, all of these things. Some retailers have WhatsApp integration, SMS notifications, and of course the integrations and the interfaces that you have with the bank. So this is the gamut of the applications and consoles that are involved. And the underlying gaps also are very important and very tangible, which is what is causing this to be a challenge and a problem even today, right? Notwithstanding the customers' dissatisfaction about the quality of the item. So we are not talking about all of that. We are talking about the happy customers and why are they still returning the goods. So you have incohesive integrations, you have manual processes, still manual processes. And I urge all of you as practitioners, and I have gone to the warehouses in the US, gone to the warehouses in UK and a lot of countries in the Middle East, in Qatar, in Kuwait, and also in Dubai. So I have actually seen people bleeding through their eyes and ears when they are actually working at the warehouse, and they come to us and they say, sir, can you please solve this problem for us? And this is what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So oftentimes, unless there is enough introspection and having the right IT personnel and leaders going and seeing the realities on the ground, we will not be able to solve this problem. And I also think that most of the leaders are very interested in only rogue waves of disruptive technologies and conversations around that. But that's a grave injustice that we are all doing, because there are still a lot of processes and a lot of improvements that ought to be made in order for us to be providing a digital and a seamless customer experience between the online and the offline, is what I mean, right? So I have illustrated that in my article as well. Go through the gaps in the orchestration, the returns orchestration. So what is the solution for all of this? So I'll just talk about a couple of minutes, and I'll give you enough hints, and then I will tell you how you can actually solve this problem. The first solution, especially in today's world, with the advent of RPA, with the advent of generative AI, with the advent of low-code, no-code platforms, and many of these technologies, if we can weave all of them together to actually become a very powerful tool for us to automate, for us to preempt the delays, for us to find ways to engage with the customer, we will definitely be able to solve this problem. For example, why should the courier partner just be a courier partner? Why can't we negotiate a conversation or a negotiated deal with the courier partner that when he's actually going and picking it up, he's already doing the quality control, and if it is not matching the quality standards that a brand has, then we can branch out into a separate flow and have a separate set of conversations with the customer. If it clears the quality control, then the refund for the bank can already be triggered by the third-party courier. All you have to do is just wait for the manifest, and the manifest itself can be already digitized into our application, into the warehouse application that is responsible for processing the returns. That as soon as he scans, the system will find the corresponding manifest and make sure that it ties the airway bill number to the manifest, so that there is no manual step of looking at the printout of the manifest and looking at the barcode number and then matching. And so there are a lot of these hyper automation steps that we as practitioners can recommend and suggest and architect and oversee the building of that. So that is the solution for solving these returns. And I'm giving you all a few mantras to follow. Definitely preempt the delays. You have to empower your personnel. So therefore, when you're empowering them, you have to empower them with process orchestrations, not just giving them one console that is like an island, like Madagascar, and you can't go anywhere out from there. And anywhere out from there is always again a manual step. So please, as practitioners, be aware that when you are giving power to your personnel, you're with right levels of authentication and authorization, you are giving them a connected flow, process flow that will help them take these exceptions to logical conclusion points, and they are notified when there is a corresponding progression that happens with respect to that. You have to leverage generative AI and make sure that you're having those interactions with the customer and get the response ASAP. It should not be that the warehouse personnel is uploading an Excel sheet. Customer care has a SLA of 18 to 24 hours to look at that, and then the 1 or 2 more days to reach out to the customer. So that already causes 4 to 5 days of delay in getting one response from the customer. And you have to have mastered the inventory. There is no other way. It is already 2023, and if you have not mastered your inventory, please talk to us. We can definitely strategize and implement this for you. And of course, you have to have traceability of your inventory at every step, because you want to prevent the theft and all the dark side of the omni-channel retail, which we don't want to get into in this conversation.